Hello everybody, I'm just getting all of our last pieces situated for today's Facebook Live. All right, let's see, make sure my sound is off. If you are stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello, and we will get into some crafting very, very soon. Yay, you hear me? That means we are making progress. I mean, not that I wasn't being heard, but we will consider that progress because if there wasn't sound being heard right now, we would have problems. And I do not want to see the live. I just got an update on my iPad that was like, oh, check out the 13-hour live Doppler radar. I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear anything about weather right now, unless they're going to tell me that like my internet's going to go out. Then we're going to have problems. But I hope everybody is having a fantastic Wednesday night. We have made it halfway through the week, which is always a good thing. We are close to Friday, 2 full work days left for those of us who work standard Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 sort of deal. Those of us who work on the weekends, I salute you. I know you hopefully are getting some days sprinkled out through the week. But for those of us on schedules like me, we are more than halfway there. So if you're stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello. I know Christian is here. I know we've got a couple more viewers than that. Hello, Diana. Hope you're having a good day out in California. All right, so for tonight's Facebook Live, I'm keeping it, I don't want to say simple. I'm doing a little bit, but I'm not using too many products. We're not using any paper packs. We're not using stencils. I have 2 stamp sets pulled. The second one was just pulled because I wanted to use just a genuine, like a general happy birthday sentiment. So I grabbed Fairy Tale Swamp, and I'm going to use the happy birthday sentiment from that set. Hello, Gwen. Hope you're having a good Wednesday night. And we're just going to do some ink blending. And I have an idea for a card background that I'm going to kind of create different colors for each of our characters. So I say we get into a little bit of coloring. I know I've colored up the 2 brothers, the green chipmunk and the blue chipmunk. We're going to color up the red chipmunk, and we're going to use the same sort of color palettes. And I can talk really quickly at the end of coloring, and I can tell you the different colors that I use, because the red and the book and the shoes on this one are predominantly going to be in the colors used for this guy, and I can just kind of let you know what was used. So, all right, let's get into some coloring. Let's start with some E35, and I'm just going to kind of go in and add it on his fur wherever there would be a shadow. So the part of his fur that's under his hat, just like that. And then he's got this little tuft of hair. And we're going to do something a little different with that. So I'm coloring that. Now I realize, poor Christian. I know Christian's always so good about trying to get everything taken care of for a live and have it done very shortly thereafter. And I forgot to mention that I've already colored up 2 of the 3 brothers. So I hope that doesn't put her into overtime trying to get this done. But I'm always just impressed how quickly she's able to Oh, and I forgot the nose. Darn it, now I'm realizing that I'm going to have to go grab markers for my nose. Hold on one second, because I thought I had all of my markers pulled. I got to grab for the nose real quick. I'll be right back. I'm hoping these are the same colors as the other ones. If not, we'll make them work. Sorry about that. All right, we're going to set that off to the side. So, and I made the conscious decision not to bring my markers with me because I pre-pulled them, and of course I forget things. So anyways, we're going to go in, and using his little tufts of hair, we're going to kind of just do some strokes towards kind of like the center of the tuft of hair. So I'm just kind of flicking my marker just like that. Awesome. That's pretty good. Okay, next we're going to move on to E34, which is Toast. It is my favorite Copic marker name. Absolutely. I'm just gonna kind of continue this under his chin, side of his face. Carry out those strokes of his hair a little bit more. My hope is that as they begin to converge in the center, it's going to be lighter. I've really been trying to get in the habit this month for my lives to use multiple characters. I typically just use one character in a live because I don't think we're really ever going to be able to do a Facebook Live that I can color up multiple characters without actually just focusing on coloring. And this is E3-1. So I've been trying to pre-color my characters in advance so that we can use them. And luckily, these guys all sort of come together quickly. Bring these in a little bit. Do the hands, and then we're going to finish off the fur with E30, which is bisque. So we're just going to kind of go in. Now, as you can see, I clearly have not cut out any of the characters, and that's because I have the coordinating outline dies to the set, so we're just going to cut them all out at once. I have them spaced out enough that I should be able to die cut them all in the same pass and not have to do like 2 or 3 separate passes through my die cutting machine. It's kind of interesting. The whole process of die cutting, it really does take a while if you're not able to do it all in like a small amount of passes. So I like to kind of take advantage of that when I can. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to focus on the tuft of hairs, and I'm going to do it from light to dark. So I'm going in with the E3-1 and just kind of bringing out those strokes once again. And maybe I have something delivered, who knows. E3-4. And then E3-5. But now I am going to go in and color up the rest shortly. I like to go, when it comes to like strokes of hair, I like to first color it from dark to light, but in the reverse, go from light to dark, because as you layer with a lighter color, it sort of blends the colors together. So if I was to kind of keep layering thicker E30s, it's just gonna kind of blend all of my darker strokes together. But by reversing the order on my final go around, I'm able to end by adding my darkest color, which really helps keep the color of the stroke prominent. So you can really see the detail from those strokes that we had put. So that's why I like to do it in reverse on the second go around. We're gonna go back in with that E3-5. I'm just going to kind of add it in. His ear, go under the hair, do his ear, don't forget his hands. Awesome. And I'll check comments when I'm done with fur. I know I've been chit-chatting for a while. We'll do some E3-4. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these characters, they're wearing like oversized turtleneck sweaters. So don't color, I mean, unless you want to, the little area that's under their head that you would think is like their neck, don't color it fur colored. It's going to be the same color as their sweater. So we're going to get that when we color in the sweater color in the red. Let's just go in. All right, and then finish that off with some E30. I had contemplated adding some blush to these guys, but I kind of have this rule of thumb with coloring that I think blush should really be for humans. You don't really think too much of animals blushing. I don't know. And like I'm sitting here and I'm saying that, and I'm already coming up with like instances where I disagree with that, because we deal with so many of these characters that are essentially anthropomorphic, which basically means animals who act as humans. So it's like we could give them blush if you wanted to. I think I stick to that rule of not giving animals blush because that's my decision and it keeps my coloring consistent. But by all means, please, whatever you think makes the most sense for you. All right, we're going to go with some E19 for the nose. Okay, I chose pretty good. Then we're going to do some E15. But yeah, please, whatever you choose to do, I say just pick, once you find the way that you think works best, be consistent. But there's also like clearly times that you're going to work with animals who are in a fandom that they do blush, you know, and so you add in the blush. All right, let's work on his sweater. We're going to do some R39, and his sweater and his cap are the same color, so we're going to work on those together. Oh, and you know what? And I lied. I told y'all that I was going to check comments, and I never did. All right, so after this color, we're going to do that. So just going to kind of do that and do a little bit of his little button. All right, so let's see. Comments. We've got, hello, Patsy's driving home from your mom's. Well, drive safe, Patsy. Hello, Heather. And then Gwen says, thank you for pointing that turtleneck thing out. It helps, you know, because I've made that mistake before when I'm coloring something and I don't realize what it is until after I start coloring. And sometimes it's too late. So there you go. So now we're going in with some R29. We're just going in. Just adding the sweater colors, and then if I say sweater colors, it's going to be for his hat as well. All right, and then let's go with some R24. Usually, so let's talk about Copics for a second. Now, one great tool that I'm kind of not taking into account right now, and you can totally use this, it's like a third-party item, is you can purchase those hex charts for your Copic markers, which essentially gives you like an easier way to figure out like what markers are going to blend nicely with each other. So I'm totally not taking that into account right now. I'm talking if you don't have that, if you just kind of are looking for hints and tips with coloring. The rule of thumb with Copics, from how I have perceived Copics, is that, now we're moving on to R22, is that the colors are grouped by, so like looking right now we have R22, and it's like, it's the red color family, and it's like the second group of colors, and it's this level 2 of saturation. And as the saturation number gets higher, that means that the saturation gets darker. I have always lived by the example that for most Copic colors, you are able to get a good blend if you keep your color within 3 steps. So what I mean by that is, and I'm totally disregarding that by how I'm coloring right now, this is kind of one of those exceptions I wanted to talk about. So for example, if right now I'm coloring up with R22, I should be easily able to blend R22 into 3 steps within the same color group of the R2. So like anything up to R25 and then anything down to R20, I should be able to blend it into pretty easily. Now I say R20, that's only 2 lower, not 3 lower. That's because, well, R19 doesn't exist, but that's going into another color group, and it may not work. But what I found is that some colors kind of have a cheat. And I found that for the R2s, for whatever reason, you can blend R29 pretty easily into R24. You don't really need R27 as part of that blend. Why it works that way, I don't really know. Reds are kind of funny. So keep that into account. But that's kind of the general rule of thumb, is when you're staying within color groupings, you usually can do within 3 steps in either direction in that group, and it should blend okay. But that rule of thumb, what it should be telling you is, don't be planning on blending your R20 super easily into your R29. It's not going to work as nicely as you think it's going to. All right, R29 next. And these are just little tips and tricks that I implement in my coloring, that they're like staples that you learn that you don't really remember where you may have learned that from, what blog post you may have read it on, or what YouTuber may have made a comment on it, or who said it during a Facebook Live, but it just kind of sticks with you. So that's where I'm at with it. All right, we're gonna do some R24. I'm also like, I'm not a very good reference point of when it comes to non-Copic alcohol markers, because I use about 99% of the time I'm using Copics. If you're using another alcohol marker, I don't know how helpful I'm being, because I can't really talk to the other markers, but I know that there are conversion charts out there depending on what sort of mediums of alcohol markers you're coloring with that you could use as a reference. All right, going in. Also, right now, totally unrelated, I'm thinking about that I need to text my mom when I'm done with this Facebook Live, because my mom has been trying to get a saddle for her horse, and I went with her last week to get 2 potential saddles. But horse saddle fitting is a whole realm of complicatedness, and like, not because all horses are different, all saddles fit different. So I wanted to see if she was able to test them today to see if they worked, because I went with her to pick them up last week. Anyways, personal story, not related to crafting, just where my mind went for a second. Let's go into RV34. So we're gonna go in and just add that. Now, he's got that little tooth that's right in the middle. It could be 2 teeth, it could be 1 tooth. I don't really know for certain how many teeth it is, but I used to kind of make it a point to color everything, even if it was white. And I have now gotten into the point of my crafting that I just kind of leave those little teeth for the most part, unless they're like a huge element that really should have shading. I don't really color them anymore, because his tooth is supposed to be white. I don't want to like make his white tooth look dark gray. And sometimes things are just too small to get shaded. And it's like, you don't want to start adding 3 colors into that little itty bitty spot, because it's going to get muddled and you're going to get frustrated, because you don't want him to have a gray tooth. I mean, maybe you do. If you do, that's up to you. But I'm assuming that you don't. All right, let's do some RV14 for his tongue. And the inside of his mouth, I'm using the exact same color combination as his green brother. This is also the identical combination of colors that I use whenever I am coloring up the inside of a human's mouth. Everyone kind of goes their own way with inside mouth coloring. And I get it. I've just always kind of lived by the thought that, like, if you look in the mirror and like go, ah, and like look, you're definitely like a pinky flesh tone on the inside of your mouth. I mean, obviously not like a fluorescent pink like I'm doing the tongue. I do think that tongues generally are a little brighter in pink than the rest of the flesh in your mouth. So that's kind of why I go the pink option. But I know some people go black, like if you just wanted like a black space, that is totally going to work as well. In addition to that, I've seen some people go more earth tones where they're more of like tans. That totally works too. It's just whatever is going to float your boat. All right, so let's go in. His shoes are blue. We're going to go with some B18. Just kind of go like that, real easy. And then I'm going to do some B14. All right, and we'll go back in with some B18. See, small spaces, just using a 2-color blend. Don't want to deal with a 3-color blend. All right, let's do C3. I'm just going to do this once. C1. And C00. I'm going to put my markers away. We're going to die cut. Perfect. There we go. So we've got all 3 of our siblings all ready to go in their little sweaters. Putting all of my markers away in my marker holder. I'm not putting them back in order. And then I can just move my marker holder off my desk. I'm going to show you guys my marker holder when I'm done because I just got an extension for it. Because my complaint with it originally, I'll show you in a second, you'll understand what I'm talking about, is I just had one piece, but sometimes when I'm coloring, I use more than the 20 markers the one piece holds, and I was able to order a second one and connect them, and now it can hold 40 markers. And I don't think I've colored an image yet that's used over 40 markers, but I don't hold me to it. But see, just a nice sort of way to hold my markers together, holds them together, nice spots for it. So, and I can just kind of pull during a Facebook Live one at a time. Only pain in the butt is putting everything back, but like this a lot. So let's put this off to the side. Let's work on some die cutting. Hey, Trisha, hope you're having a good night. Thanks for stopping by. And hello, Carrie. All right, I've got some mint tape. And we're gonna go ahead and start tacking these outline dies down. Just like this. And then let's do the bookworm brother, blue brother, whatever we want to call him. Make sure everything is nice and the best that I can. Like I said, I'm able to space these out enough that I should be able to die cut all of them at the same time. But then again, you could also stamp out a bunch of images and do them a lot closer to each other and spend more time die cutting them because you can't layer the die super close, but you get more real estate to work with in terms of using your paper. Like these are going to basically be dead spots that I'm not going to be able to use for anything. So let's go in die cutting machine. My sandwich. I also I don't know if I don't think this is a problem. I have not had a problem yet, but I always work with an extra metal shim that's supposed to be for like finer dies. And I always put it underneath my magic mat because it gives me just like a little extra pressure to cut out my images. So I always kind of operate using it. So, all right, So if you ever see that little bit of metal, that's what it is. And these did the job quite perfectly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my machine away. Oops, sorry about the noise. I am gonna have to come back to this in a second. Well, not a second, a little bit longer than a second, but I'm gonna have a sentiment strip that I've got to die cut out, so we'll do that. I also like to get in the habit of putting my dies away as soon as I have them done, because I don't want to lose them. And like, I've even noticed that sometimes I have not lost a die, but I've lost some very interesting craft equipment. So the other day, I have a scoreboard by EK Tools that I'm not bashing the brand. It's just a little older and I don't love it, but it comes with like a built-in like a paper score, a little yellow paper score. And I was using it the other day and I accidentally dropped it, and I kid you not, the way that it fell on my floor, it like fell sideways and shot under my desk. And my desk is not an easy thing to like move around. So now I'm just like without the tool and I'm just using a standard bone folder. I'm not like irritated. Well, I am irritated by it, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so we're gonna put our three little rodent brothers off to the side, and I'm gonna start working on our background. So let me see. So I have this idea. So I have a bunch of die cut paper. These are all like smaller in size, with the white being the smallest. And I'm going to nest these all together and make like an interesting way to mat our card to incorporate all the different brothers' colors. But I wanted to also carry those colors onto this panel. I had an idea. I don't know how it's going to work. So we're gonna just kind of bear with me from this. So this panel is about 3 3/4 inches by, let's see, let me just measure it. 5 inches. Is that right? 3 3/4 by 5? That is right, because it's about 1/2 inch shorter on each side than what an A2 card front would be. Next, what I have are the GK Designs Thermal Web Masking Magic Strips. And I am going to use these, and I need to use the teal pattern. Let me see if I can find it. Did I put it out already? Here it is. Yes, I did. And I'm gonna use these because these are already cut to 1/8 of an inch. And so I am going to use this, and I am gonna line this up on all of the edges as best as I can. See, this is the thing. It's not the easiest of tasks. I come up with these harebrained ideas. Sometimes they work really nice though. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of make sure. Okay, so I'm gonna line this up so that I can use the different tick marks on the mat as guides. I have a reason for that, because I use this size particularly because I want to use this in a vertical orientation, and I wanted a number that's divisible by 3, which is not the easiest task when it comes to measurements, is to have something divided by 3. All right, so I want to mask off each of the edges so that it creates like a nice little white frame around it. Please feel free to skip this step if need be. All right, then we're gonna go ahead, add this to the bottom. It's also gonna kind of hold everything in place real nicely. Just I hope it's gonna. This is all in theory. How'd they say? Theoretically. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead. Just kind of do that. Okay, so remember I said I wanted a number that was divisible by 3. So 3 3/4, I should be able to get 1 1/4 for 3 separate segments. So counting in, I should be able to put a strip on this 1 1/4 line right here. I'm going to do it kind of dead center. Just like that. And then, just trying to make sure all of my masks are nice and even the best way possible. Let's do another one. So this is 1, 2, 3. Like that. Okay, so I've gone ahead. So the way that I've masked this, this is 3 3/4 inches, and I have masked it off on this side, it's 1 1/4 inch in on each side. And I used my grid for my, is this right? I used the grid for my glass mat to kind of keep everything nicely into place. So let's get into some ink blending. Because like I said, me and my harebrained ideas. So I want to map out how I want my brothers to be on my card, because I kind of want each of them to have their own section. So we're going to do red in the center, blue on the left, green on the right. So that being said, let's check comments. Magic Mat. All right. Magic Mat is like it's almost like cutting mat material, Diane, and it's made by scrapbook.com, and it's supposed to be like a cutting pad that you can use to help like prolong the life of like not having to worry about like getting warped or indented plates for your die cutting machine. All right, so I'm just gonna put this mask down, hold it in place just like that. All right, actually, yeah, we're gonna do it right like that. So this is gonna be the blue section, and so I've got 2 Distress Oxide inks, and we're gonna start with Salty Ocean. I'm just gonna kind of go in and Salty Ocean, do about 50%. About 50% of the way down, I mean. Like that. And then I'm going to use some prize ribbon. And go from the bottom up. Now, I know I said that I wanted to do the blue on the left and the green on the right and the red in the center, but here's a hack. The only thing that matters is that you get the red in the center if you're doing an exact sort of layout, because you could just flip it. The colors might be inverted if you screw it up, but you could just flip it if need be. All right. I also want to go in, give me a quick second, because, oh, well, we got a jumper. I wanted to use a little bit of Distress Spritz just to add a little bit of shimmer. I'm just going to have to make sure it dries. All right. I also want to use just a little bit of water. I just want to be careful and not use too much water, though, because sometimes water when masking can make your ink kind of seep underneath. So I'm just doing a little bit of water. We're going to go ahead and pick it up as soon as possible. Just for a couple bleach marks, and then I'm going to take my spray. Just like that. Okay. Let's go in. Just kind of heat set it. I don't really love the use of this spray right now, but we're going to use it for consistency purposes. No. Come on, dry. bit of cleanup. Just don't want that going everywhere. Awesome, 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 awesome. Press that down. Cool, now let's reveal. All right, so now what we can do is we can mask off and work on the center section and do this in red. Just like this. And let's go ahead, mask this one off. And these are just kind of scrap pieces from my stash. I've been sitting around for a while. Just trying to use what I can. All right, that piece is too small. This should be perfect. All right, so we're gonna go in and just sort of do that. And I did it over the tape. Darn it, Justin. Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm getting this correct. This is new to me. I have not done this before, but I had an idea. I still think it's going to turn out kind of nice. It's going to turn out very nice. Watch your words, Justin. So... okay. Now let's go in with some abandoned coral. Do that about 50% of the way down. And then we're gonna go in with some barn door. It's a darker red. Do that about 50% of the way up. Just kind of blend them together. Just like that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of water. And go ahead, we'll pick that up. And then let's go ahead. I've got some barn door spritz. We'll just, now that I know to just use it lightly, we will. All right, cool. So a little bit of spritz. Let's go ahead and dry it. And this is just going to add a nice shimmer to our project. That's the other thing too, working with all of this tape on this panel. Tape does not like heat, so it starts to kind of mess with the adhesive, especially low-tack tapes. So as you can see, my tapes begin to lift a little, which is fine. We're working with it. All right, so we've got that. Now we have one last section. This actually should be pretty easy is my thought. I'm gonna go in. I'm trying to put it so it doesn't conflict with my masking tape. But this tape is also long enough that it's not super cooperative. Okay, let's go ahead and push that down just like that. Now we're gonna move on to our last two colors. So we're gonna do some Twisted Citron. About halfway down. And then we're gonna move into some Mowed Lawn. And honestly, in hindsight, I probably should have done like cracked pistachio and lucky clover, because this green's a little bit more yellow than I think there's the green of the Green Brothers sweater. That's okay. Go in, kind of blend it out, just like that. Voila. Well, voila. I'm saying voila with a W, that's not right. All right, putting my little blending tools away. Put my inks away. Awesome. Now we're gonna do a little bit of water. Just a wee little bit. I'm gonna take my not distress, this is just a craft towel. Just like that. And then we're gonna take, I've got some Twisted Citron Distress Spritz. Just gotta make sure that all the glitter bits are nice and free-flowing. Just like that. All right. Let's use our heat tool once again. We're gonna hope that this turns out nice. I'm kind of doing the work of like different layout dies that like, it'd be really nice to have a die cut do all this for you, but that's okay. Like I said, this Facebook Live, a little ambitious, but we're not really using a bunch of different products. We're not using a bunch of dies. It's really just 2 stamp sets, some inks and some tape and some paper. Okay, I think we're good. So let's pull our tapes back. Let's see how we did. So this one goes first. Actually, that's pretty nice. I'm not mad about that. A little uneven over there, that's okay. All right. That is pretty good. Pretty clean lines. I do think I'm gonna very lightly trim off a little up here because I didn't get it like perfectly on there, but this is a pretty good background. So we're gonna use that. We're definitely gonna use that. Let's do a little bit of trimmings. And when I say trimmings, I mean like the smallest possible amount of trimming I can get away with. So let's go in. Let's see, I literally just want to take off the end. Just like that. Just like that. That's perfect. See, the smallest little bits is just what I needed. So, I'm also looking, this looks a little bit wider, but I think we'll be fine. Okay, so what I want to do now is let's get our card base ready. And I have a lot of layering to do. So I've got my Misty, or my Sweet Petunia Precision Glue Press. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take, this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, I believe. So it's just about 1/8 of an inch wider and taller. So not too much, just a little. So we're gonna do it just like that. And then this, I wanna put on a 4" by 5.5" blue panel, which is also an 1/8 of an inch bigger than the green layer. So I wanted to represent all of the sweater colors, all of the character's main color, you know. So just kind of layer that. And then the red's a little bit more. The red is A2 size. So the red is going to be 4 1/4 by 5.5. Kind of layer that all really nicely. And I did use die cuts to get nice, precise cuts. I did not trust my eye to get nice, clean, even cuts like this. So I always recommend get yourself some good nesting die sets. I can link this in my blog when I post it as well, so you've got it in the future. All right, let's put this on a card base. And sometimes if I glue really close to an edge, I'll just kind of drag it a little bit to kind of pull it in the direction I want it to go, or pull it away from the direction I don't want it to be. All right, so I'm gonna take my mat, or my acrylic block, just like that. Okay, now let's map this out. So we're gonna do like this, but he's gonna be in the front, of course. And I just want this to be like a nice birthday card. And I originally was gonna do a black sentiment, and I'm worried that it's going to stand out too much. So I think I'm gonna shift gears, and I think I'm gonna do a white sentiment with black ink. So let me go ahead. Let's see, I got this paper, but it's different than what I used originally. Let's see. We're gonna use this. I'm gonna get some nocturne ink. I'm gonna get my clear Kindred Stamps embossing powder. And that's what we're gonna use. All right, so we're gonna set this off to the side just for a second. I need to get my Misty as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and I'm grabbing my Fairy Tale Swamp. I just want to use this happy birthday sentiment, just like that, because I just wanted to make a birthday card, honestly. I didn't want to make like a sibling card. I just wanted it to be like a cute birthday card. You know what? We're going to move this so that it holds down the edges. Oh, you know, it'd be really cute. I don't know if I could do it though. No, I think I gotta do black because of what I want to do. I was gonna say if I did like an ombre sentiment, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get red and green to blend very nicely into each other. So we're just gonna do Nocturne ink on this happy birthday sentiment. And then let me grab paper. Do some. I'll have to clean that later. That's okay. It takes a couple seconds. All right, that's set. Clean this up. The rest of that off, wipe it in a second. the lid on. And just tape. All right. Let's go ahead, use my heat gun. I'll let that dry for a little bit. Talk to you for a second about the importance of letting your heat emboss set. So whenever you're heat embossing something and it sets, meaning that it like melts, I don't know if that's the technical term, but that's what Justin calls it. You don't want to touch it right away. You want to let it kind of set for a couple seconds, just so it cools back down to normal temperature and hardens. Because if you touch it while it's still in the process of hardening, you will smear it and you will be repeating what you just did. Take it from me. But now we're good. Okay, so then I wanted to grab, I have another sentiment banner set that I wanted to grab really quickly. Let's see, will that work? That will work. Just to kind of die cut this. Let me line this up. Just like that. Perfect. And I will die cut this out. Loud noises from Justin yet again. Our happy birthday sentiment. I like that it's in white. I think it's the appropriate color choice. I think black would have been too stark. All right, so let's go in and start adhering everything to our card. Let's move my stuff around. Grab a drink of water. Okay, so I want to go ahead and adhere my brothers together. Just trying to use like a line to make sure that they're all kind of level. And then I like to adhere them. Kind of make sure that's not too much glue. Let's see, so we've got, I don't want to make sure they overlap too much. So we're gonna put the red sweater brother like that. And then I'm just gonna have him kind of overlap the green sweater brother like that, very, very lightly. So I'm just gonna do it kind of on the ear, the hand. Just like that. Okay. Just like that. Oh no. Darn you. Oh no, you're not sticking either. That's really helpful, sir. Thank you. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna use some foam tape, just kind of glue them all together. Let's see what we can do. I like to use the foam tape on the seams to make sure that everything is connected nicely. So like all three characters are nicely in order. Sure they're all lined up appropriately. Let's do our sentiment. Okay, perfect. Let's see. I kind of want it to be like, oh, that's adorable. So, yes. So I want it to be like that. Just take the back off the tape. So really the key is making sure this is nice and level. Perfect. And let's go ahead, remove all of the backing. Make sure they're all in a line. Perfect. Now let's add a couple embellishments, and then we are done. So let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one big embellishment up here. And then let's do just those two like that. And we've already got it on a card base, so I think that we are all done. Okay, so using black embossing powder versus black ink and clear embossing powder. I think the difference, Diane, that I would say is that I think using a black ink, sorry about that, a black ink with a clear powder is you're gonna get more constant coverage. Sometimes using a colored embossing powder, you can get kind of splotchy with it. So like the clear basically just locks in the color that's underneath it. So you already know what it's going to look like. As opposed to sometimes heat embossing with the color, it can kind of be a mystery as to what the final result's going to look like. But there you have it. We have this card all completed, and we use the stick together stamp set to make this really cute happy birthday card. And we use some layering rectangles just to kind of get all of our die cuts into place. We grabbed a sentiment from the Fairy Tale Swamp stamp set. Just really, really cute. Features all of the brothers with their colors. I think this turned out really sweet. So thank you all so very much for stopping by. This is my last live of the month of July, but I'll be back next month with more inspiration. So if you ever want to see a specific set feature, just make sure to leave a comment, let me know. My rule is whatever I use, as long as it's in stock on the website, and I try to feature things that didn't just come out, like in the most recent release. So if it fits those two criteria, that it's something that's in stock and something that didn't come out last month, we're good to go. So always let me know if there's any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. Open to all of it. But thank you all so very much for stopping by tonight. I will make sure to get this posted to my YouTube channel and to my blog. I will also try to get all of the Copic markers listed because I know we didn't color these two up during the live. I use the same color for the shoes that is sweater, so it was a B18, B14, B12. And then for this guy's sweater, I use G17, G14, G12. But it always helps to have it listed for future reference. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you real soon. Goodbye.